Section 7.3 is proving triangles are similar by angle, angle. So our objective for today is to prove two shapes are similar by angle, angle, and we're going to complete a proof with step-by-step directions. So our first piece of information for this lesson is angle, angle, and similarity postulate. So for this, if we have two angles that are congruent between the triangles, so in this example, K and Y, J and X are congruent. I guess I'll do those a different color. So because those are congruent between the two triangles, that is enough information for us to say these two triangles are similar. So if you can find two angles between the triangles that are the same, you can say they are similar. And then you will be able to write a similarity statement. So let's do some examples with this. We're going to determine if the triangles are similar. If they are similar, we will write a similarity statement and a reason why. So show all work to support your reasoning. In our first problem, we know that both of these triangles have a right angle. So we know those are equal or congruent because all right angles are congruent. So we know angle E is congruent to angle B. Now we need to figure out if there's another one. So right now we know we have 22 degrees and 68 as our other angles. So we don't have enough information yet to say they're similar. So if we look at our first triangle, ABC, I'm going to find the third angle there. So to do that, you're going to take 180 minus 90 and minus 68. And when you do that, you will find whether or not it is equal to the other angle in the second triangle. So I'm just going to type that into my calculator, and we would get 22 degrees. So we know this angle A is 22 degrees. Now by finding that piece of information, we know that angle D is the same as angle A. And that gives us enough information to say, yes, these are similar. And they are similar by angle, angle, because we found those two angles are congruent. Once we have that, we're going to go ahead and write our similarity statement. When you write your similarity statement, you are going to name both of the triangles. So if we name the first one triangle ABC, we'll write that over here. Then we'll use the similar symbol, which is kind of like that little squiggly line. When we name our second triangle, we have to follow the same order of corresponding parts. So for this one, that is going to be from our purple to yellow angle. Oh, sorry, my screen moved. So purple to yellow, and then yellow to the non-highlighted one. So this is going to be similar to a triangle DEF. And that would be our similarity statement. So now if you want, you can pause the video and try the next two on your own, and then press play to check your answers. So in our next one, I noticed they both have a 78 degree, and then they are missing one of the angles. So if I look at let's do my second triangle this time. If I look at this one, I know we have 180 degrees for the three angles, and then I'm going to subtract 109. And I got that 109 by adding 31 plus 78. So I'm just subtracting them both at the same time. And by doing that, we know that the missing angle is 71 degrees. Once I find that, I know angle P and angle H are equal. So right now we have angle R is congruent to angle F, and angle P is congruent to angle H. So that gives us our two angles. We can say they are similar by angle, angle. Then we can write our similarity statement. So if I name my first triangle, let's just name it PQR. I went from my blue side to my non-highlighted angle to the purple angle. So I'm going to follow that same pattern in my second triangle. I'm going to go blue to the blank one to the purple one. So my second triangle name is going to be HGF. And that would be our similarity statement. If you did them in a different order, that's okay. Just make sure that P and H are in the same location, Q and G are in the same location, and R and F are in the same location of your names of the triangles. And our last example, for this one, we can see that both triangles have a 27 degrees. So we know angle P is congruent to angle H. Then we had to find a third angle. So if I add 53 plus 27, that's going to give me 80. So if I found the third angle in my first triangle, I would get 100 degrees. So you'll notice that angle does not match up with the other angle in our second triangle. So we do not have similar triangles because we only have one pair of congruent angles instead of two. So this one you would just write not similar. And sometimes you'll notice on a quiz or a test, you will have to decide whether it's not similar or not, and it'll still have a place for your similarity statement. So if you were still asked for your similarity statement, this you are going to leave blank. So if you're ever asked and you get that the triangles are not similar, you do not write a similarity statement. You only write a similarity statement if the triangles are similar. And sometimes your triangles are going to be overlapping each other, like this example for 2. We have that smaller triangle and then the bigger triangle on the outside. So you could draw them separately. We would have T, R, V. We know this angle is 49 degrees. Then if we drew our bigger triangle, we would have Q, R, S. And this one's also 49 degrees. So between the two triangles, we know T and Q are the same. And then you'll notice both of them have an angle R. And that's because they both overlapped at that top angle. So we know those are also congruent. That tells us that yes, these are similar. And we know that because angle R is congruent to angle R, which is the reflexive property. And then angle T is congruent to angle Q, which was just given to us. Next, some of these problems you will have to use are angle pairs with parallel lines. So this one, we have that parallel line. The angles that go together, they told us L and N, or O and P, were congruent in the given information. Then we also have these corresponding angles here, which gives us our second congruent angles. So you could say angle MLN, sorry about that. MLN is congruent to angle ONP, that was given. And then we also know angle MNL is congruent to angle OPN. And we found that with our corresponding angle pairs. So then, yes, these are similar by angle. Some problems that we're working with our similarity problems are going to be word problems. When you have a word problem, always draw a picture because it will definitely help you. So for this one, we're going to start with the lifeguard is standing beside the lifeguard chair on a beach. The lifeguard is 6 feet 4 inches. Right away, I'm just going to change this so it's all in inches instead of feet and inches. So I know 6 feet is equal to 6 times 12, which would be 72 inches. So total, this person is going to be 72 plus 4, which equals 76 inches. So I'm going to draw my little lifeguard over here. And he or she is going to be 76 inches. All right, my next piece of information they tell us is that this person cast a shadow that's 48 inches long. So their shadow can be down here. And we know that this shadow is 48 inches. Next, there's also a chair at the beach that the lifeguard is standing next to. So here's the chair. Their lifeguard chairs are always really tall so they can see far out on the water. And this chair, we don't know how tall it is, but we know that it casts a shadow that is 6 feet long, which we already figured out was 72 inches. So I'm just going to write that in inches right away. They want us to figure out how tall this chair is. So because the sun is going at the same angle, we are going to end up with similar triangles here. And the two triangles we're going to work with is one is going to be this person's body with their shadow, and then we're going to use the lifeguard chair with their shadow as well. And the sides that go together, the heights go together, and the shadow lengths go together when we write up our ratios. So if we set this up, we're going to have 76 over x equals 48 over 72. And remember, when you're solving ratios like this, you are going to cross multiply. So we're going to have 48x equals 72 times 76. Let's just pull up the calculator quick. 72 times 76, which equals 5,472. Then we would just divide both sides by 48 to get x equals 114. So that gives us the height of the chair. So the chair is 114 inches. If it asked us to give it the height in feet, we could also do that as well, but this one didn't really specify. Using the same information, we're going to find the length of a shadow of a person who's 4 feet 9 inches. So I know 4 feet, if we multiply that by 12, we're going to get 48 inches. So if they're 4 feet 9 inches, we would take 48 plus 9, which equals 57 inches in total. Because we're using the same information from before, we are going to use this same triangle of the lifeguard. So if you want to redraw it, you can. And we have our lifeguard here, and we know the lifeguard is 76 inches, and their shadow is 48 inches, which gives us our triangle for our ratios. So then this person is a little bit shorter than that lifeguard. They are only 57 inches tall, and their shadow is going to be a distance that we are looking for. And again, remember, heights go together and shadows go together. So you'll set up your ratio again. This one we can do 76 over 57 equals 48 over x. And we will cross multiply those together. We will get 76x equals, and we'll have to do 57 times 48. Okay, so 57 times 48, and that gives us 2,736, and we will divide that by 76, which gives us 36. So the length of their shadow will be 36 inches. Now you'll notice on the next part of our notes, we do have a couple of proofs. Now I do promise these proofs are a lot easier than they were with triangles when we were proving them congruent. So let's just go through a couple of examples. Remember, the first thing we always do is write down our given information on our proofs. In this one, they give us a few pieces of information. They give us angle MLN is congruent to angle ONP. They also tell us that we have parallel lines here. When you write down your given information, I always recommend marking your diagram or the picture. So this one, you'll notice they already showed the L and N, those two angles were congruent, and that we have parallel lines here. So if they didn't do that, you should make sure to add that into your picture. That was our given information. For step 2, you're going to look for any vocabulary you can use. Vocabulary. Sorry about that. And when you look for vocabulary, don't forget about angle pairs. So for this one, we do have those parallel lines with each other. And they have a transversal that is cutting through them. So we need to find two angles that are formed with the purple line and the blue line that are in the triangles. So you want angles that are in the triangle because that's what's going to help us. You'll notice that the angles that are both in the triangle that touch the purple and blue line are here and here. And when we name those, we're going to name it angle MNL is congruent to OPN. And those we've found, we know are congruent because of the parallel lines. And parallel lines imply that corresponding angles are congruent. And those would be an example of corresponding angles. And if we mark that in our diagram, we now notice we have two pairs of congruent angles. So we can say that we have similar triangles. And when you write your similarity statement, always use the one that they give you that you're trying to prove. And that way you don't have to worry about figuring out the angle or the order of the angles when you're writing the names. And when we say that these are similar, we are going to say angle implies that we have similar triangles. So this one was short, very simple, 3 steps. So these proofs aren't going to be as difficult as they were before. I know we had some really long ones before. These ones are going to be a little bit simpler. So moving on to our next example, we are going to again start with our given information and make sure you write it all down so you get full credit. EFD. So this one they told us that we have 2 right angles. And that was our given. You'll notice that's already marked in our diagram. And if you remember, all right angles are 90 degrees. So that tells us angle DCB is congruent to angle DF. Oh, sorry, I wrote that wrong. Sorry, angle EFD. And the reason we know that is all right angles are congruent. So now we have that. Once you're done with that, we use our 1 given information, 2 vocab, and with the vocab, I always recommend looking for angle pairs. So in this picture, you'll notice we don't have any parallel lines, but we do have an angle pair that are vertical angles. So these are congruent to each other. When you name them though, you have to use 3 letters because there are 4 possible angles here that you're talking about if you say angle D. So for this we can say angle CDB is congruent to angle FDE, and we know that because vertical angles are congruent. Now you'll notice that we have showed that we have 2 pairs of congruent angles between the triangles, so we can say that they are similar. So triangle BCD is similar to triangle EFD. And this one, again, angle angle implies that we have similar triangles. So that's our last example. If you have any questions on the homework, let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.